Have you ever been at a point in the painting process where you love it, but it isn't quite what you had envisioned, and you're afraid if you continue that you will ruin it? That's where I'm at with this painting right here. We started this last week while we were live, and I love it. I love the way everything about this is turning out. And it's not quite what I had envisioned. This is just the background of what I had envisioned. So we're going to be talking about that in today's stream, like when you're afraid to continue, and about ways that we can overcome that. And we're going to see, will I ruin it or will I make it better? I don't know. Anything can happen. It's a Thursday, right? So thank you all for joining me. Also, today we're going to be looking at these. I told you about them last week. I said that Golden Maple was sending me some brushes. They were in the mailbox when I finished streaming and I went downstairs and checked. They were there. So we're going to use these today and I'm going to show you them. I'm going to show you what they can do. Now they call them a needle brush. I'm going to shift this out of the way for a moment. And I'm going to bring over just a piece of scrap paper. We were working on this last week and had some of the blues we were mixing. I'm just going to work on the back of it just so I can show you what you can do with these. So they call it a needle brush. You may have heard it referred to as a reservoir brush. That is how I've always heard them described, was a reservoir brush. So they come in this little box, and this is just like a chipboard box. There's 4 sizes to this set. And full disclosure, the folks, and I told you this last time, the folks at Golden Maple sent me these brushes to see what I think. So I didn't have to buy these with my own money. However, this video is not being sponsored and I'm not being paid to show them to you. And trust me, the compensation of brushes does not equate payment by any means, not for anyhow. The opinions will be my own as always. I'm just pulling these caps off here. So this one has a few hairs. I don't know if you can see that. It's got like a few hairs that are sticking out a little bit. And I'm going to see once I rinse the sizing out if that lays down. If not, I mean, there are ways I can fix that. I could just dip the whole brush in some hot water. Now, for these, they say, for the needle brush, right, with its sharp beak-like tip, that one thing I will say, look at the points on those. This really interested me. I saw another YouTuber reviewing these, and it really piqued my attention because I shared with you the ones that I have gotten from Jackson's. I shared these last week, and they're a faux squirrel, and they call them a liner reservoir. This is made by Dynasty. But these here, and now these are not wet. These are not wet, but they do have sizing in them so that, they're still very stiff to protect them during shipping. So if I get these wet, let's just take a quick look at that. Right? They do get a decent point, but look at the point on that. I am really excited to see just what I can do with that. And if you're saying, what on earth are those brushes? What are they even for? Why are they like that? It kind of looks like your rigger fell. It's like a Reese's, right? You got your rigger in my round brush. That's exactly what happened. This is like a rigger, although on these, they do have a decent snap, but they just didn't quite have the snap and the point that I was hoping for. I'm hoping these will have that. So these are designed to hold a lot of water. And I'm not seeing on the box, and I don't recall. I need to check this really quick. So you'll have to pardon me for a moment while I pull it up, because I believe that these are real and synthetic. I think they're real and synthetic. And I just need to look. If I would have thought of that, I would have absolutely looked this up before we started. Just 1 second, and I will be able to tell you. I'm pulling it up from their website. Okay. And it says crafted from sable and nylon hair. So the sable hair, which is the real hair, so that doesn't say synthetic sable, it says sable. So just so that you are aware, if you are someone who does not like to use real brushes, maybe this isn't for you. These are going to be kind of like my silver black velvets. Those are a mixture. Oh, Bessie Paints says, I have those brushes. How do you like them? I'm like soaking one in some water right now, like trying to get the sizing out of them so that I'll be able to use them. I don't know if I need to use this big old. That is a big brush. That is such a big brush. I love it. You would use that on larger paintings. So they say like a needle point shaped rigger brush, right? And so the tips are like a nylon, which they say offers superior elasticity, ensuring precise fine lines with every stroke. The sable hair forms a full belly that provides excellent paint retention, and the nylon tip offers superior elasticity, ensuring precise fine lines. And we're going to have a look at that in just a moment. If I can get them, there it goes. Get that sizing to, and I will say, like a real hair brush, the belly does splay when it goes into water. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, hold on a second. I'm trying to see if I can show you a comparison with these two, but it's not really showing up as well. I'm going to move my water so you can see it in just a moment. All right, this is a perfect example. Okay, let me bring my nasty water pot over here. It's like, it's got clean water, but it's not clean by any means. I need to scrub it out. So when I put a brush that is synthetic in water, this is a Princeton Velvet Touch. And if you watch, when I set this in water, you see how the shape of the brush, it holds its shape. The bristles don't fluff out. Think of like if you put your head underwater, your hair just kind of, right? Just kind of floats out in that water. The synthetic brush, it kind of holds its shape. When I put one that has a real hair in the water, see how it splays out? Can you see, is that like coming across? Let me just set this guy down. So when I set that down into my speckly dirty water, the water's clean, the paint pot's not. See how that comes back? I put it in, it splays out. I lift it up, it comes back. That's real hair. Real hairs do that. Synthetic hairs don't usually do that. The synthetic hairs, they kind of hold their shapes. Let's put them like side by side, just so you'll definitely be able to see, right? When I place those in, see how the bottom one splays out. The top one holds its shape. And we know that the Velvet Touch they're synthetic brushes. They're not made with real hair. Okay, so in case you were wondering, if you ever get one and you're not quite sure, that is usually a good way to tell what your brush is. So I hope that little tidbit helps. Now we're going to we'll just use the 8 for now because I have the sizing pretty well rinsed out of that guy. I'm going to set these in here, and actually I want this one too. So it comes with a 4, an 8, a 12, and an 18 in this set. Okay. So as soon as we look at these, we're going to go ahead and get right into our painting for today. Okay, so these brushes for one brush, I have seen other brands and they are very expensive for one. Um, and I have been searching for one that I'm really going to like how the rigger part of the brush works and how the paint flows out of the brush. I found with my other ones that I just showed you, it released the water and paint, like it released it too quickly. I want something that is going to hold that paint in this belly and then just evenly let it feed down. Now this one that I said was a little splayed out. It's still, yeah, it's not cleaned out yet. It's not fully clean. Wanted to see if those hairs would return to where they're supposed to. If not, I'll just dip it in a little bit of hot water, like you put the kettle on like for tea. Yeah, they went back. It was just because of the way that the cap caught a couple of them. Okay, so we're gonna have a look at these. I didn't wash it out of the 18, which I think that's fine. You're gonna get the point very get the point very quickly. Okay, I'm gonna set that aside. And let's just take a look at these brushes. And then I'm going to attempt, to use them to paint some trees and see, will this brush make it easier to paint some trees? I don't know. We'll find out. Okay, so here's my size 8, right? So this is, I think, one that I would use a lot. I think these two are the ones I would probably use most often. I could surprise myself. This may become one. I love the size of the 12. We'll see. Blue Peep says, wow, that's more than I expected. What was more than you expected? Because I missed when that comment came through. Sorry. Okay. Wildflower says natural hair is a big no for her. Yeah, and it is for some people. So to each their own. Boo Peep says that could take your eye out. Isn't that? It is like, look at the points on those. I'm so excited. All right, let's have a look. So this is just from what I used last time and from last week. I'm just gonna grab some of this here with this brush. All right, let's just absorb some of that color. Pick that right up in the belly of this brush. And now, let's see if you're doing lines, right? This, look at how skinny you can get that line. Look how thin that is. Can you even see that? Like, that is some fine line work right there. And I can press down more and get it to be a little thicker. And we're just going to come around. It is still feeding. All right, let's bring that, let's keep bringing it around. Wow, the way that this is releasing the paint is perfect. I'm not getting puddles. I'm not getting like too much. And it is still, that is still feeding. My hand's shaky, but that brush is still going. Still just, it's not showing signs of being out yet. I mean, this color is pretty steady. I should have done it with like a darker color. Would have been easier for you guys to see. That was just me readjusting my hand, not because I needed to readjust the brush. Look at that. Still going. It is still going. And it's not even skipping. Wow. Okay, huge thank you to Golden Maple for sending these my way. My first impression is wow. Like if you're going to be painting, and I mean, I know this is not exciting, just watching me make a line back and forth on this paper, but remember, I haven't grabbed more paint since I started. This is just still going. And that is kind of exciting to me. It is just consistently feeding that paint right down to the tip of this brush. I mean, I feel like I could just keep going and keep going. It is still not skipping like it's running out of paint. Oh, again, that was just me. My hand being jittery. I mean, wow. I think we get the point. This has filled like over half a sheet, 9 by 12, of paper. I do not have a rigger brush that is capable of putting down that much paint without me having to go back and reload my brush. And it's not wanting to focus because, you know, it's gray on white paper. So I'm really excited about that. I don't know about you guys, but I am very excited about that. The folks over at Golden Maple gave me to share with you a code for you to get 20% off of these brushes. So if these are something that interest you, code Clark 20, so capital CLARK 20. The link is in the description. Will get you 20% off of these brushes. It's a set of 4. Let's just pick up some of this green in the belly of this brush, because you know what I wanted to see? There's a lot of water in this brush. And when I first come in to do an evergreen, one of the problems I always have when I use, say, my size 6 like this for my Velvet Touch, or even my size 10, you know, whatever size tree I'm doing, is that my first strokes, it tends to put down too much, like too much. It puddles too much at the top, and I don't want that. And so I'm wondering, I know that there's a lot of paint in this brush right now. If I had this much water and paint in this brush, it would flood my page. And I'll show you what I mean in a second, but let's see how this does first. Yeah, wow. Okay. That is just, I'm loving that. That is a very consistent, with the color. Now, if I do the same thing, I rinsed my brush, I tapped it, I came over here, and I got some paint. Now, this brush, right? So these are about similar size bellies, and this brush will hold, and I just tapped a little off there, but this holds a nice point. However, when I go to lay down the paint, that first one, you see how much it like comes off my brush? Like this is pooling. This is pooling and puddling, and I'm just using the tip of my brush. And do you see that? Like, it just wants to run around, right? This paint, you see it collecting at the bottom? Like, this is just, it's drippy. There's a lot of water there, but I can put the same amount in this, right? Look at how much water. I mean, there's a lot of water in that. Come right over here, and you see how that's pooled. And this does not flood my page at all. I'm liking this brush. I have a feeling that you're going to see me grabbing these for sure. These are probably going to be used a bit. Huge thank you to Golden Maple for sending this, because I am just loving that brush. And if I wanted a broad stroke, right, like I could get the belly of the brush in there. You know what I mean? Like I could get some paint down. Flick up some like grass details and stuff. And the points, I just can't get over. Like if I really pay attention and just flick the tip of this, wow, there I can get some really, really fine strokes with this brush. My first impression, I love it. I love it. Being able to lay that paint down without it flooding and not having to go to such a tiny brush, like, because you often see me grab like a tissue and I'll be putting the belly of my brush on it. And that's because when I come in here, my brush is all wet and I grab some of this paint, right? I want that paint, but I don't want all the water. So I'm going to pull out some of that water so that when I come over here, I can, and even that, I'm still putting down a lot more paint than I need to get the tip of that tree done. You see how it's kind of puddling and pooling there. I'm not going to get that at all with the other brush. So that, I think I could find that very useful for doing those, for sure. Now you could use these for rigging on a boat. Could you imagine how much you could do without having to reload? First impressions, I am really excited about these. So huge thank you to the folks over at Golden Maple for sending these my way. We're going to see these more. We're going to see these today. We're going to, as we continue on with our painting. And yeah, there's 20% off. The code is in the description below, as is the link to get to them. And I hope you guys will check them out. If a reservoir brush has interested you in the past, that might be the one. Okay, let's look at our painting. So we worked on this last week. If you missed the live stream, this is what we painted. Now we also did some color mixing and I've added chapter markers. So anybody watching on that replay can literally just jump from to the two sections where we did this painting. So if you want to see this painting done, you can absolutely go over and do that and not have to worry about like watching all the extras that happened in last week's stream, if you're only interested in the painting. Okay. These were the colors that we used last week. So these were the new colors. If you remember, these are my Shinhan PWC watercolors. This is on a Meeden palette. Let me give you a look at this big old thing again. So that is the Meeden palette. This is like a studio palette. And in here, I have the Shinhan PWC line of watercolors. We talked about those, so I'm not going to rehash them all. You can certainly go back and check out the beginning of last week's stream to find out more. But I added new colors, and I told you why last week, and these were them. So then I wanted to do a painting with the new colors, and the only addition that we brought in, aside from these, was the ultramarine blue deep. And so PB29. That was the only other addition. Everything else here we painted with the permanent magenta, which was a PV19, permanent red, PR209, cad yellow light, PY35, shadow green, which of course is not actually a green, it is PBK31, it's a black. And we had ivory black, the PBK9, which we only used a tiny bit of in some of these to kind of mute down the color. But a lot of it we did with these here. Plus, again, the ultramarine blue, which also came into effect down in some of these colors here. Okay. So how many of you, and if you're watching live or on the replay, drop it in the comment, but if you're here live, you can drop it in the live chat. How many of you, like sometimes, I had a vision for this painting. This is not it. This was the background I envisioned. And thank you, Betsy Paints. And what I had envisioned, there was a lot more. But I love the way that this turned out. And I was like, oh, am I going to continue or am I not going to continue? How many of you have been there where you're like, it's not really the vision, but I love this so much, I'm afraid I'm going to mess it up if I continue. One of the ways that you can get past that is I let my painting dry. I scanned it in, take a high resolution photo of it, whatever you need to do, so that now I have this painting. Always and forever, I have this. I can make a print of this. I can do it however I want to. I think this would be beautiful, like on a card. I could print out cards of this. Because I have that, this is less precious to me, right? Because no matter what I do, I always have it. No, it's not the original, but I always have it. So today I said, I'm going to do a mock-up and kind of add a little bit of like what I was thinking. And so I did that. Let me just lay this flat again. I'm going to put it under the my little board to raise it up when I start painting, and just helps keep the paint like flowing downward. But let's take a look. From this, I did a mock-up and I added some trees in my foreground, some birds. The center part would be painted in. I'm picturing kind of like a little bit of a path coming out there from the center and just sort of meandering through. And I said last week, right, that I was really interested in doing like some darker pearline green trees like up here in the foreground. But I was a little hesitant, right? Am I going to ruin it? I don't know. What do you guys think? If I add this to the foreground, does it, and again, that middle will be filled in. This was just like for a quick, let's take a look at what happens if I throw some green and some trees up close. Is it going to ruin it? I don't think so. And how are we ever going to know, right? Like I was picturing like a path coming from here, maybe just kind of coming around, and these trees coming in. And I want to keep this, I want to make it like oval, right? I don't want it to go past here. I'm going to bring it up. So I'm just going to put in a foreground here because I wanted this to feel very much like a vignette. And we're already headed in that direction. So will it mess it up? I don't know. Some of you might have been looking at it going, no, don't do that. Don't paint on top of it. It's great the way it is. Don't change it. And others are like, oh, heck, go for it, right? Only you can decide. So only you can decide in your painting. But I think if I add some birds, and I love like the trees where you just see the trunks of the trees, and some of those are old trees that are never going to grow leaves again. And I don't know, I really like the looks of them. And I think I want to go ahead and add some in. So we're just going to go for it, obviously, because otherwise, what will we do with each other for the next hour or so? So we're going to go for it because that's just what I do, right? Let's experiment. Let's play. Let's have some fun. Let's see where this takes us. Um, for starters, all right, I'm going to put this back underneath the board here. I just think you really have to approach it. It can be hard, right? That fear can be like, it can just stop you in your tracks. Burley Stress says, hello. So clever to scan the background and try different things on top. Scanning and printing it on watercolor paper might also be an option to play with. Absolutely. Like if you can, well, if you can print it, if you have a printer that can handle watercolor paper and you have like an inkjet printer, that ink is not going to stay put. So you just need to know that when you paint on top of it, things could very much move. With this, since I painted this and it's been dry, been drying for a week. I actually forgot it on my scanner. I came up to the studio today and I was like, where did I put my painting? Like, where is my I could not find my painting. I was like starting to go into panic mode. And then I looked over at my scanner and realized that the lid was still up because I still had it on the block when I scanned it. And I was like, oh, it's over there. But if you yeah, if you scan it and print it on watercolor paper and then go to like practice on top of that before you like ruin your original, that is a way to do it, to kind of test things out. I just kind of pulled mine into Canva and then used AI. So of course, like I've done that many times. So if you look at my mock-up here, um, I just told AI that I wanted some evergreen trees with some trees without leaves and some birds flying overhead. And I got some of these pieces and removed the background and just kind of played around with it and, duplicated some images and flipped images around and just added up resized trees and just kind of plopped them in there to have a go and see, what is this going to look like? Am I going to like it like this? And we're going to see how this actually translates. And then, of course, I will update the thumbnail like I always do afterwards. So if you're watching on the replay, you've seen the new thumbnail. You know what this thing looks like. And was it a success or did I mess it up? Or maybe you're still seeing the mock-up, in which case things are about to go terribly wrong. And you might want to hang around and find out how. Oh, either way, it's a piece of paper. It's only a piece of paper. I painted this once. I can certainly paint something similar again. So there we go. Good tip about the ink from the printer. Yeah, it definitely could run. So, again, you're painting watercolor. As long as you understand that that's something that could happen, and it's just practice, right? So it's just practice. All right. So I'm going to give this a spritz on the bottom here. Remember I said I want this to kind of be like vignette. And where are we going to put in some of our trees? I think I'm going to grab this size 8 here of our new brush. And I'm trying to decide, like I had them up to like all the way up to here. And on this side, I had one like all the way up to here. I don't know that I want to quite go that high, but I mean, maybe. I really want these to feel like they're close to us, and this is a lot further away. So, I'm just going to take some of this, right, that was here from last time. I'm just going to add a little bit to my, again, what will be kind of my middle ground. Still thinking like, I feel like there's a path that comes, kind of meanders around. Right? I want to pull you into that part of the painting. I have, this is actually a Royal and Langnickel Zen brush. These are not linked in the description below, but it's just like a golden taklon, and it's a filbert. And I'm going to see if I can't lift out a little bit from last time there. I have another one. It's more of like a scrubber. Again, same Zen by Royal and Langnickel. This is a much firmer, right? Much firmer brush. I don't want to do a lot. I don't want to damage my paper. I just want to see, maybe I can just lift a little bit out there just to make it look like the path kind of goes around those trees. Right? I think that's fine. Put in a little bit more. Just kind of soften that up. Berlina says, no, Burley, excuse me, says, I have that set of Royal Langnickel brushes and love them. All right. I'm not going to fiddle too much with that. Now we're kind of getting a pathway that leads back there. There we go. Now it's leading us. It's leading us somewhere in our painting. I kind of like that. I want to try this out with, let me see, that one. This was our magenta from last time. And we had permanent red. Our cad yellow, which I just made a mess of. Look at you, see how that pushed, that cad yellow just pushed all those colors. I want something just a little bit more. Leaning more brown. And I could just grab like a burnt sienna or something, or an umber. No problem. But I want to stick with the colors I've already been using in this painting. So I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to mix a little bit. I just grabbed that. They call it shadow green. It's like a perling green. There we go. All right. Let's try putting a few, like, I may end up covering some of this up, which would also be fine, as I do the trees in front. Just wanted a few more bushes in here. And since, well, the time gets away from us quickly, but right now, I'm loving the point on that brush. I'm loving that for sure. Let's darken this one up just a little bit, or at least on the left side. I might add some shadow back here. Like, we've got all of our light coming from this way, so that's fine. I love the fine detail I can get. Oh, that point is great. And I mean, that's not even trying the 4. The 4 is even finer, but I don't know. I'm loving this. Here we go. It's kind of bringing it a little bit more towards us. All right, just gonna leave that for now. Actually, I didn't need to rinse that on my brush. I could have used that to kind of place my first trees. All right. Let's just pick that back up. I'll just pick some of this up. All right. This is where you're going to be brave. This is the part where we have got to be brave. I think. Hey, I can always go bigger. Is it a little crooked? No, it doesn't matter. Trees grow that way. Don't be afraid. Just go for it. And I think that on this side, right about here, why not? All right, we have the start of some trees. And I'm definitely gonna need to mix up some darker colors so I can bring in like where I'm gonna have like my trees that don't have branches. These are gonna be evergreen. See, I just went. Normally, I would go to pick up more paint here. So let's just see what happens when we don't. And we just use whatever is here. She's still going. Right? Still putting down color. I love it. Okay. We're certainly going to have more from there, but let me just start placing in some of these. Use that one again in a moment. All right, let's see what we've got. What color here? I want this to very much be warmed up. I'm going to want to try to keep some light, some warmer green on my left side and on my right side over here. I'm just going to give a spritz to some of these that I know I'm using. There we go. So that's just Perling Green and Cadmium Yellow Light. We'll get a darker version going there. All right. So I have plenty of paint on my brush right now. Just used up some of that. And I'm thinking I'm going to do my trees a little different than I normally paint them. Right now, this is very light. I think even at this point, it can still be very intimidating. Like, oh my gosh, am I ruining this painting? So many of those negative self-thoughts can come into play. And I just try to remind myself it's only the world watching right now. And, it's just a piece of paper. It's okay. It really is okay. I know I say that a lot, and it's not to make light of a situation, but it really is okay. It's just a piece of paper. If I feel like I've trashed it, guess what? I can always do prints of my beautiful, painting I had before. Um, and it's fine. And when I paint this, like, I don't even worry about like, oh, there was going to be another tree there. I don't try to avoid the area. I just paint the tree. Come up here into this darker now. So we're getting closer, getting down in towards the bottom. Now I'm going to come back over this and put more values in later as I go. Remember, I want this to be kind of a vignette, so I'm going to pull this around. Yes, Boopy. With that other brush, I do not have to hold it like perfect, like upright like this to get the really fine lines. I was finding that as well. Hello, Tara. Big thank you to Tara and Joseph, our channel moderators. They also have channels here on YouTube, and they take time out of their busy schedules to be here and help moderate chat, answer questions, things like that, share links with you guys. So if you haven't checked their channels out, I definitely recommend. All right, I'm just gonna kind of let that one be. Let's jump over here and do this one. We're gonna actually paint in some trunk, I think, on that as well. And I've got my darker color on my brush. I'm gonna pull a little bit of that out. And I'm gonna grab that lighter version again. And let's go over here. Normally I paint this side first and work my way that way because I'm right-handed. So hopefully, I won't put my arm in it. Could happen. So I'm just using my size 10 round on the Velvet Touch just to lay in the base of this tree, just to get my form started here. And you're going to see me try out the new brushes for some detail work for these as we go. And I'm noticing like my branches are coming downward. Um, Now, if you look at, let me bring that back up one more time. If you look at my mock-up, those guys are going upwards, and that's fine. There are evergreen trees. I live in the pine tree state. Trust me when I tell you there are evergreens that go up, and there are evergreens that go down. And there are some that go straight out, and there are some that are wonky and are missing half their sides. You can't paint your trees wrong. Just have fun with them. Even if they look like candy floss, Tara. I'm joking, and I say that with the utmost love because I know that is how Tara describes her own trees. And I think we are our own worst critics. In fact, I know we are. As I see some of the things that patrons and channel members share, like on Discord, and I just think, you know what? That is amazing. It's fantastic. And, you'll hear they're not quite satisfied with it or weren't sure. I think we are definitely our own worst critics. Getting into that darker value now. Just kind of drop some in here and there. Remember, as your trees get further down, they're a lot denser. A lot of times I feel like I have to make conscious effort to change up my trees because I don't want them all looking exactly the same. You see, like through here, we can kind of see what was going on in the background there coming through because, it's transparent, it's watercolor. But I'm not worried about that because I'm going to layer these trees up here, and that is definitely, it's going to change. All right. And again, I'm just going to kind of work my tree. Right? I'm going to pull that around. Cleaning off my brush. And I'm just going to go a little bit further. Right? Just so that can kind of, because I want this like a vignette. I want that kind of bleed out into nothing. And here we have a little bit of overlap with before, but again, not too worried about that. You know, having that line that's darker there. It'll all be fine. All right. Let's start marking in where those next two are going to be, and then we'll come back and we'll add some details to those. And you know, I don't like the even numbers. So there's going to be more than just these two, but that's a great starting point. See, I always kind of boop boop, and then I go here and here. Sometimes it's nice to remind ourselves that we don't want every tree looking alike. So maybe we skip a spot because it is possible that there's no branches growing on that side. And again, when I paint this one, I just paint it as if this one doesn't exist there. I just paint right through. If I want it to feel like it's going behind, I can kind of tuck around, right? I see how I'm kind of painting between. I'm running out of my color. So again, it was just cadmium yellow light. Look, I love when you see that it goes down, it just like pushes everything away. And to that we add a little bit. That might be a lot of it. Let's just do that. Yeah, it was a lot of it. Bring in a little bit more of the cadmium yellow light. And there we go. We're back about where we were before. At least it's good enough. Right? And this is just for my sun-kissed greens. And if this is feeling very much a lot more opaque, probably because I have a lot more of my cad yellow in here. And now you see it's really kind of covering on that background. This is why I said before, like that background, we fuss so much with I know I do, right? Fuss so much with our background and then have to remind ourselves it's a background and so much of it can just be covered up. Yeah, I'm just kind of negatively painting around the other tree that is there. And yeah, we have a big difference here, but I'm not done. This is going to have more layers, and that won't look like that when it's finished. So far, have I ruined it? Are you like still way up in the air? I don't know. I'm not sure about this. We'll see. We'll see. And I'm making a conscious effort to make the top of this tree be different than the way I've done my others. It's because I don't want them all to look the same. And if you're not comfortable with using, a size 10 brush to do something like this, you don't have to. You could absolutely be using like a size 6 round or use whatever you are comfortable with. And now I'm like, there's certain parts here of the trees that are back there that I might like to keep. And I can selectively paint, right? How this one's going to come through. Like maybe I have a branch that comes through here, but I can still see some of that trunk, right? And then kind of you can control where the branches are in your tree. So you can allow whatever from that background to show through that you want to show through. And you see here, the rest of that's kind of growing in behind this tree, so I'm not too worried about what's going on the left side. Maybe just filling in some of these spots. But I am going to keep working it out on the right side. Remember, there's where I painted that trunk in. And if I don't follow it all the way down, it doesn't matter, right? My original guesstimation of where I wanted that tree to be falls a little short from that. It's fine. Okay. We need to get some darker values in here and really get these, add some dimensions to them. I'm going to take let's take that 4 of the new brushes. Just see what we can do with this 4. I think I'm going to bring a touch of the red. It's a lot of the red. Right? I just want to neutralize some of this. Nice dark, like black going on there. There we go. I like that. Kind of grabbed a little bit too much. I hit the red again when I was mixing. Got a little carried away. Nice deep dark, almost olive like green. All right, just grab some of that. Load that right up. Okay. Start with this guy in the back. I'm letting some of that lighter green stay, right? Because I want that sunlit background. And I want it to look like the sun is lighting it from the back. And I don't mind if I have more detail up here because this is my foreground. I still think I want to add in some, like the trunk, like seeing some of that trunk, and I'm gonna want more of a really darker than this for when I to show that. I'm loving the way you can just kind of let this bounce around. I'm doing this one first because I definitely want this to feel like it's in front of that one. Now, I did almost that whole tree without reloading. For a brush this tiny, I would have reloaded a couple times. I'm really, really liking these brushes. There we go. I know I was painting quiet there. Let's get... I'm not going to mix with this brush because, it's very, very fine. And I do not want to mess up the tip of it. So just mix up that color with that. And I think that's going to give us a nice dark to do some of the trunk of this tree. As we get lower, of course, I'm going to see it less and less. I think that's good. While I've got this on the brush, I'm going to go ahead and put it in on this one. And here's where I can kind of shift this if I, where it's the way it's growing. My first line was a little wonky. That's all right. There we go. Kind of keep looking up. I'm looking like up at my monitor here to see like, okay, just how far down do I want to go with this? Right? Where do we want it to stop? Do we want to see it on the ground? Right? Under the tree? Sure, why not? Just make sure that this trunk is going to be able to support that big old tree. There we go. Even that, just that has made such a difference. Let's go ahead while we still have this and do the other two. Although I can see like some of the granulation color separating down here on my palette. All right, I'm going to come over and do this one, and then I'll do that one. I turn my paper slightly, so I need to remember. Because I'll paint it crooked. And that's fine. It could grow that way. It could have grown a little crooked. So we still have a couple weeks before we will work on the June calendar page. If you guys have been following along, painting calendars. So that will actually be 3 weeks from now. And this one's kind of gotten it's all kind of painted through. So I'm just going to keep going and adding a little bit of, hey, here's the trunk kind of sticking out. And when I come back with my darker, like I did over here, I sort of help fill that in and define that a little bit more. I think we'll just bring it right down. We'll just say, here's the base of that tree. Now I have it like kind of leaning over this way. I need to follow this line. And there we go. I'll sort of anchor that into the ground. Give that guy a little bit extra too. Okay, what do you guys think of the reservoir brush from what you've seen so far? Do you have these type of brushes? Do you like them? What do you use them to paint? I am very much interested. See, I brought that one down this way, but I'm not even worrying about that now. I'm just kind of going with what it feels like. Like, where should I see that trunk? Like I made it come down lower, so. But he's definitely behind, so I will be doing some adjustments there. Need to keep that one back behind. And see here, I just kind of stopped and let it kind of disappear behind there. I didn't bring it all the way down. And that's fine. They don't have to both be the same. In fact, it's going to look better if they're not. Okay. So letting those dry, I'm going to come back over here and add some details to this side. Just tapping in some darker values. I still want to see the lighter. Still want to see those lighter values coming through. Doing this one slightly different than I did that one. I don't have to worry too much about getting exact details. The viewer's brain's going to fill a lot of information in, right? I just want to have different values. See, I went to reach for more paint and I was like, you don't need more paint. She's still going. Darker as I go. You saw I turned that kind of on its side. I was just loading up the belly of the brush. And it is still flowing down the point very well. I don't need to see that path. Like, it can come from there, but I want this to be in front. So I think we're going to go ahead and just kind of cover that. Maybe have some like rocks down there. Do the same. Of course, I still haven't darkened these up. Let's add some more light back there. Kind of looks a little foggy. Doesn't it look a little foggy in through here? Mm. Brighten that up a little bit. And just sort of blend that through. All right. Darken these up. And then we'll put in some trees that not evergreen. There's a lot of red in that. All right, again, I'm just going to start with the one further back. I am loving these brushes. I am loving them. Again, I'm trying to make sure that I leave some of that light color because I want it to look like that setting sun is just really highlighting the backside of this tree. I want to see some of that coming through. I think once we get these few trees in, and put the ones that we're just seeing like their branches, this is going to come together very quickly. Getting these main ones in, though, is definitely the most time consuming. I keep reloading. I don't need to reload that brush. You're seeing me reload out of habit, not out of necessity. These will take a while to learn, like, how far you can go without needing that brush reloaded. We're going to leave that right there. We're going to pull this one over further because, again, I want that one further behind. And the red just kind of creeping down there, trying to get up into our color here. All right, we're going to go for this one. Again, I'm going to try to really focus on leaving some of those lights showing through, especially up here at the tops. Thank you, George. Find on these bigger ones, it's easy to just kind of let the tip of that brush just dance around. Don't focus on filling in the whole space, right, but just some of it. And I could certainly come back yet one more time with even darker values on these. Like these could definitely, I could push them darker, certain spots. And I would do the same kind of thing. I would then just focus on like where this would then become my mid value, where my mid value is. And I would sort of dance along again, but not completely cover up all of my mid value. I'm loving this brush. I will be using these for a bit so that I will be able to keep reporting back. Do I still love it? Do I still love it a month from now? Is its point still just as sharp as it was today when I unboxed them? So definitely stay tuned for that. And we'll see like how often do I just naturally reach for this because I like the way that this puts down color. Okay. This one's like a little bit lighter than I would want up through here. I might need to darken that up, but in the interest of time, we're going to keep on moving. I might put another tree here So that's possible too. I'm going to make that one even darker. And I have the ability to do that because this is not so dark. Okay. Let's get some like tree branches sticking out here from other trees. Um See what we can mix up for that. We'll take our red. I'm trying to still stick with the colors. Like right now I really just want to grab um if I had both, all my colors out here. Thanks, Joseph. Oh my goodness. Um if I had all my colors here, I would probably grab like a buff titanium and maybe some sepia or burnt sienna and just make up those colors. But I'm just doing this because showing you we can mix them, right? We can mix our colors sticking with the same limited palette I've been using, so nothing looks out of place. Right? Let's just work up this orange here. And then we're going to, from that, now that we have that nice orange color going on there, a little ultramarine blue, neutralize this right down. All right, let's grab a little bit more. I'm going to touch more red into it. Right? You just got to kind of play with it. It's like, is it looking as like a chocolate brown as I wanted for my trees? I think that's fine. It's close enough, right? It's close enough to be able to do this and stay um, in the same limited palette of colors, right? So let's just grab some of this because I can put these in. And if this looks light, it just looks like the sun is hitting it. If I need to darken anything up, I can always bring in like my ivory black or something like I did back in here if I needed to. All right. Are you ready? This is where we got to be brave. This is where we have to be brave. Tara says, I love the way this is turning out. So far, I haven't ruined the painting by continuing. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We still have a little ways to go. All right. Let's just bring. Yeah, we got to be brave. We got to be brave. I'm going to kind of stick this in here behind, right? Behind my tree. Behind my evergreen tree, that is. I often, like when I'm painting with a very fine point brush, I find, you guys will have to tell me if that happens to you, I find that I will lose my point. Like I can't see where my point is touching my paper. All right, let's just bring this up to a nice point there. And let's just give it a few craggy branches coming off. Remember, this guy's not going to see leaves again. It's done. It's just right now, this is food for the woodpeckers. Right? Somewhere in this little wooded area, a woodpecker is living his best life. For sure. We have a couple of those trees out in our wood line. There we go. And look at how this is separated on this palette. I love it. All right, let's get another one of those in there. Because it needs a friend. And that one lives right about here. And I'm just going to kind of pull upwards, skip through. Right? And again, it just has a few broken off craggy tips there. I love it. But I don't want to get carried away. So easy to get carried away. How about if we put one over here? Maybe there's one that lives here, right? And it comes up through here. Yep. He's a wonky one. There's a thick spot on that. Maybe there's a burl up there. You guys know what burls are? The big thick growths that happen on the trees sometimes. Lou loves to find those and turn them and create bowls out of them. Just kind of thickening this up as it comes back. Make sure it can support that craggy little tree. I love it. All right, how about we get some on this side? Love the way that this can just pop those in. And let's just get right about here. It got a thick spot there. So again, it's probably just a burl. Pull this back down. I like to pull back down the tree so that I'm making sure that as my tree trunk goes down, it looks wide enough that it can support everything above it. There we go. Oh, I'm loving that. I am loving these colors back here. So far, no regrets. I don't know what you guys think, but so far, I just have no regrets. Put thin one. I'm going to just pull it up here. Again, you can't see the whole thing. It's behind these guys. All right, there's some broken off pieces. There we go. I feel like there should be darker evergreens like here and here. So we'll see how time goes. Could easily pop in a small tree on both of these that's darker. I think the more contrast in the foreground would certainly help. I just love that guy. All right, and I'm gonna put maybe one more. Yeah, I'm gonna put one more. He comes from back here. There we go. What do you guys think? I am loving it. I'm loving it. I think I need some that are darker. I also think I need some birds. I really want to get some birds in there. I think I'm going to put those in pencil first. There was a spot right here that when I scanned it, it just looked weird. It doesn't look weird here. And I thought, I could always put a bird over that and then that spot would never exist. But I think a bird right above the sun, like a bird right here, that would just look weird. I certainly want my birds to be kind of here and maybe one over here. So we're going to go ahead with that. I think I'm going to put one more straight one in there. All right, I'm going to make this just a touch bit darker. There we go. One more. It's here. All right. Good. It almost looks like the way I did that, like this branch is coming from this tree back here, which is fine. You know what? That's the way that someone else's brain sees it. It's fine. I'm loving that. So I am loving that. Okay. Let's look at where we would want to put some birds. And then I think I am going to do just something a little bit darker and tie this foreground in a little bit. We are going to be done. What if I put one's kind of flying back there. Joseph says, I've already picked out where I'll set my tent. I'm like, I don't know. It's a little. Do you see? Do you see a nice flat spot in there somewhere? Because could be sleeping a little wonky. Maybe back here. Maybe back in there somewhere. It might flatten out a bit. This looks a little kind of hilly. Let's see. How about if we have? I was gonna put the like one up here and then put like two on this side, but I'm thinking one larger one on this side and my smaller ones on that side. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Let me read about here. Hmm. And where should we put our other one? Because I like to have three. Maybe up here. All right. I think that's where they're going. Let's try this out. Let's see how well this does for some little birds back there. And for that, I'm going to get some of that out. All right, let's see. One up there. One down there. It's a little dark. Let's lighten him up. There we go. I'm not sure how I like him, but no, whatever. It's fine. It really is fine. All right. My fur got a little wonky on me, but just have to practice painting them a little bit more. I want to start bringing in some sort of life into my landscapes other than the trees. You know what I mean? Other than like the landscape itself. So whether it be birds or like a little animal in the scene, it's just something that I want to start to do. There we go. Okay, I'm not going to fuss on those any longer. I love how the sun is. Okay, let's put some darker trees right here and call it done. And I'm going to do those quickly, like really quickly. And again, this is one of those times where I go, am I going to regret this? Well, I don't know. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. Like, I'm really darkening these up. I just want it to be like, I just have a feeling I'm going to have too much paint. I don't want to flood my area with too much. Again, if I did, just make the tree. I start off a little bit lower than what I want the height of that tree to be, so that I can always add to it and go taller. So, was it a mistake to add this to the foreground of that painting? And see, I think I want it a little bit taller, so we're just gonna say, hey, I want it to be up here. And now we just continue following it down. Make it just a little bit wider where it needs to be wider. Right? There we go. Would you have been brave and done that? Or would you have said, nope, that's it, the painting's done. I like it too much here. I don't want to, I don't want to ruin it, and not have ventured on to see what you could have accomplished by continuing. I was just thinking, my sun is here, so I'm going to see shadows this way. But I don't want to put too much because, again, this is a vignette. I want it to just kind of fade out. So I'll drop some shadow back this way. All right, and the same for here. I'm going to bring that in over here, and I'm going to bring more shadow through. We're just going to soften the transition over here. See, now doing that, it kind of looks like this one's here, and those are still coming from this middle plane, if you would. So let's do it again on the other side. Why not? How about right? I actually kind of want it to be a little bit forward, but let's do it. Let's put him right here. That's right there. You just got to kind of make a decision and then go with it. I don't mind having more contrast in my foreground. If you've enjoyed this, I hope you'll give the video a thumbs up. Definitely, definitely helps. Tells YouTube, hey, more people might like this live stream. Maybe you should suggest it some more. And see, that just covered up that little awkward spot I had there. Just covered that right up. And we're just going to pull this out. Oh, Virginia, I'm so glad to hear that. Just remember, it's only paper, right? It's only paper. I mean, I still feel like I could do like even more. Like I could have more in here. I don't want to really take away from where we kind of pick up the path and get brought into the back, but I feel like I could possibly put more on this side. But it's again something that, do you dare? You know what? I dare. There's going to be, I should have grabbed the other brush. Let's grab the other brush. The whole reason, right? I love this brush. I am definitely loving it. I'm going to bring that right into this. Pick that up. Why not have, maybe it's like a little sapling. We got new growth. New growth starting to come out here. That's fine. Oh. It's only paper, right? It's only paper. It's only paper. Just go for it. Have some fun. Maybe there's some springtime. Maybe we have some little buds started on these down here. Let's just throw in some little touches of some brighter green right there. Right? Yeah. Why not? Now, if I had more time, I would even put in like maybe these are rocks. We could really keep going with the detail of this foreground, but this is more what I envisioned. Um, thanks, Tara. But we have to be brave. We have to be brave and remember it is only paper and we've painted it once. We can do something like this again. Look at me grabbing like this one because I want the fine details. I don't want this one. I want this one. I'm going to take a little bit of this, bring it down here into this brighter colors I had on the page there, or on the palette page. And we're just going to put in, we got shadow there. Let's just give a little like up in here, right? Maybe a few grasses in our, again, is it a mistake? I don't, you just got to go for it. Right? I am definitely loving this, these brushes. So a huge thank you to Golden Maple for sending them my way. And again, the opinions are my own. They did send them to me, but they're not sponsoring this video in any way. And they did give us a discount code again. That is a capital CLARK 20. You will get 20% off if you order through the link in the description and use that code. I hope you'll check them out. So far, I definitely, definitely think that you're going to be seeing these again. I'm certainly going to have a play with these. I went off on a trip this past weekend, and I took a reference photo, and I can just picture this being the perfect brush to paint that. And I think it's something that I am going to be doing. It was a tree. Of course, it was a tree. But it was like the sky and this tree. It's gorgeous. Anyways, you'll see it. It's coming. It'll be coming up here in the near future. So you're definitely going to be seeing these brushes some more. I can't wait to see, do I end up bending the tips? Do they hold their sharp point? Stay tuned. Find out. I look forward to many more adventures with these brushes. I'm just kind of anchoring this grass in. I thought it looked a little odd there sitting by itself, just kind of popping out of nowhere. And we'll do the same with this over here. There we go. And it had a little bit of that cadmium yellow in it, so it brings a little bit of that warmth that's in our background up here into our foreground. And I think that's where we're going to call it. I hope you all have enjoyed that. You will have to let me know in the comments. Was it worth it? Was it worth the risk? Would you take the risk and go for it? Did I ruin it? Did I make it better? You like it both ways? I mean, now I can scan this into the computer and I absolutely have the painting both ways, so I can use both. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed that. I will be back again next Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. I hope you will come on back and join me. I'm not sure what we're painting yet, but I did spend the weekend down in Acadia National Park last weekend, so I have lots and lots of amazing pictures. Oh my goodness, I can't wait to share some of them with you guys. If you are a member, you're connected to Discord, you'll probably see if you were on the tier that has uh, access to the reference photos, you're probably going to see some reference photos that you too might like to paint. And if you'd like more info on that, certainly the links are in the description and you have access to Discord, whether you are a patron or a channel member. So either one can get you there. And all levels have access to Discord. But yeah, the creator tier has access to photos that I share for reference. So what do you guys think? Let's get a nice closer look at that. There we go. I like it. I'm not disappointed one bit. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. Thanks for sticking with me. Until next time, my friends, keep creating, and I will see you in a video real soon. Bye, guys.